We really are in really impressive times right now in the Pokemon market where we're seeing a ton of movement happening across single product and single cards. But today we're going to be talking about one single card in particular, as you've probably seen from the thumbnail. It is, of course, the Bubble Mew from Paldean Fates. This, in my opinion, is going to be the most expensive card out of the whole of the Scarlet Violet era. We're going to take a trip down memory lane. We're going to talk about things of what's happening regarding the Bubble Mew and what it means for the Pokemon hobby. Let's get into it. Okay, so the Bubble Mew has been, well, doing very well. About a year ago, or just over a year ago, I did a video talking about the Mew at the time. It was around $90. The Charizard was about $180. And I was saying that the Mew, in my opinion, was going to overtake the Charizard. I was like, buy it at $90. I think it's going to be a really good pickup. And look what's happened, okay? Charizard is about $200 right now. We're going to take a look on TCG Player. We're going to look also at Pokédex, and we're going to look on eBay as well, what's been going on with this card. Safe to say, if you picked this up for $90 a year ago, you're going to be laughing, to be honest, if you kept hold of it in this video. So, we're going to jump in. We're going to take a look at what's been going on, and I'll give you guys my thoughts and opinions and what is happening, what it means for other cards in the era, and also, is this going to be the biggest card in the Scarlet and Violet era? Because currently, that crown is with the Umbreon from Prismatic, but I think this could be the new king. Okay, so TCG Player Bubble Mew, we are here, $677. Holy smokes. So this card has gone up 120% in the last 3 months. We go back a year, and you can see that this card was around $90. So a year ago, I was like, guys, pick it up. I think it's going to do very well. And it saw a little bit of an uptick towards 169. So then it overtook the Charizard. And then it kept climbing. And at the start of this year, it went to 400. A lot of people were talking about it. Huge buzz. PSA 10s went through the roof. So on and so forth. There was a lot of buzz around it. At that time, I went to London Card Show here in the UK. Biggest card show in the UK. And everyone wanted the Bubble Mew. It was like the talk of the town. We were looking at raw prices getting higher and higher. PSA prices going higher and higher. It was mental. Then it did a little bit of a slide, right? It dropped $100 in raw value. And I remember the graded value dropped. We'll get to the graded value in a moment. But that dropped as well. And it's like, it's cooling off. It's falling off. It's reached its peak. And now, ever since like July, it's just gone through the absolute roof. It's gone on an absolute tear. Right, the fact is, in the past month, it's gone up 88% alone, right? From $350 up to nearly $700, doubled in value, or pretty much in a month. That's wild. So when we go on Pokédex, we can have a look at Paldean Fates. The overall set value has been going up. In fact, this is now 1.7k in set value. Makes it just very, very good. Could Paldean Fates be better than Hidden Fates? I would probably say it's probably, yeah. In all honesty. I mean, I love the Fate set and I love Hidden Fates, but this potentially could be better than Hidden Fates. Let's take a look at the Bubble Mew, the card in question. So we're looking at this, right? Raw price, eBay says 543, TCG Play 648, card market, okay, bit skewed there. PSA 10, 1.8k. We had population of nearly 12,500. So again, population, no one cares. Most of the time in modern era cards, it's 99% of the time, it's irrelevant. When people talk about pops or whatever, no one cares. If they want the card, they want the card, right? And people want the card. They just do, okay? So this card, graded, right, at the start of the year, was about $900. Then it dipped when we saw that dip during, the first half of this year through, $750. Again, I remember seeing people selling it close to $1,000 around, this time, let alone around here. And since then, it's just been going to the absolute moon. Easily going to be over 2k in a 10, like real soon, like real soon, which is just crazy to think. And then you look at the raw price again, you can see the raw price, and TCG Player is slowly breaking away from the average market price, but they've been neck and neck and quite steady the whole time. And it's good. The consistency is very good when you see the TCG Player and the average market price go hand in hand. We don't always see it that often, but when it does, it's beautiful. But recently, TCG Player has broken away by about $50 or so from the average market price. So yes, there's a ton of this in the PSA 10. That doesn't matter. People want this. And people want this in Japanese. People want this in Chinese. They really don't care. They just want this artwork. So over in the UK, I just searched Bubble Mew. I didn't type in Bubble Mew, but I typed in Mew, Paldean Fates. I went to the London card show. A lot of people were after this card. Honestly, it was like the talk of the town. Everybody wanted it. Okay, we had one, but it was in Chinese, so a little bit different. So we've got the Paldean Fates Mew Raw for £414 here. PSA 9, best offer accepted at $520. $415 Raw for the Bubble Mew there. We got an Ace 9 for $425. So that one is kind of interesting and not really much different to the raw price there. You have one here for $272. I guess this one's probably not in good condition. 300, 400 pound. This is literally in the same day. Excellent condition. This one's in the same day, and it's like £110 difference. That's redonkulous. You got Ace 9 there for $372. Raw 445. God damn. Another Ace 9. You got any 10s anywhere? 10s are, apparently hard to find, apparently. Not many people selling these 10s. There we go. There's a 10. This one is a Ace 10 for £955. But look at the difference. This is the difference when you get to high value cards between Ace and PSA. This is the big deal. Look at this Mew. Look at this. 1.7.5K for a PSA 10 Bubble Mew. That is pretty much $2,000 essentially. So yeah, that's crazy price difference between those two. I'm not a huge fan of the Mew Ace label. I must admit, I don't actually rate it. If I had this card, which I don't, I would definitely send it to PSA. I think even in the PSA 9, it's probably worth more. No, maybe not more than obviously the 10, but more than the Ace 9, I would say, for the Bubble Mew. 1.7K there for a PSA 10, 1.8.5K. And look at these raw prices. They're ranging all over the place. Literally, two in the same day, 360 and 485. All depends on that condition. So the price does vary and is just all over the place. There you go. PSA 9, 585. So we look at £600 basically for a PSA 9. And how much was this Ace 9? Wasn't the Ace 9 like literally a little bit more than raw? I think it was pretty bad, right? Yeah, Ace 9, 370. So if you've got a Bubble Mew, very good PSA. Obviously, they're a lot tougher when it comes to the centering and stuff like that. But if you have it, I would send it to PSA. Okay, comparing it to some of the biggest cards in the Scarlet Violet era, where does the Bubble Mew sit? Okay, so we're going to look at Magikarp first from Paldean Evolved. The raw price of this is much, much lower than we have with the Bubble Mew. However, look at that PSA 10 price. That PSA 10 sitting at pretty much 2K. There's a lot of this in a 10. Considerable amount. This is a much, much tougher card to get in a graded 10. And, a lot of people like this. Again, this is another, what I would call a holy grail card, which a lot of people are after. But the raw price is huge. Absolutely massively different. I mean, even the PSA 9, it's only $322. So this may be like, best way of describing it, in my opinion, is probably similar to like the Burning Shadows Charizard, where it's like insanely high in a 10. I think the Magikarp's kind of in that ballpark of, it's the 10 that makes it so lucrative and so interesting, but the raw, not quite as much. Another big card is the Team Rocket's Mewtwo from Destined Rivals. This one will continue to fall, right? I think as more Destined Rivals hits the market, sets so new, we're looking at a card that is, raw, still less than the Bubble Mew, but still fetches an insanely high price tag. And even a 10 over 1K is very, very impressive. But again, I just don't see it holding the best. I do think that it would fall over time as well with more Destined Rivals. Okay, the artwork also of the Bubble Mew is way better than the Mewtwo in my opinion, but still, this is a big one, but it doesn't come close to the Bubble Mew. You got the Zali Boy from 151. It's kind of interesting because the graph literally copies the artwork of it, kind of going up to the moon. So we're looking at a card here of over $200. You're pretty good. And it's been printed into the ground. But look at this. It's over 21.5K in a PSA 10 already. Loads, right? But still fetching a $900 price tag is very, very good. But compared to the Bubble Mew, it doesn't even come close. I remember people doing videos in the past of saying when the Zard got to this point here, going, oh my days, it's going to be the biggest card in the Scarlet Violet era. They printed this sucker into the ground. And it did dip, but now it's making its way back up to new heights because 151 is getting, again, harder to get hold of. But yeah, this one is a interesting one. So many in a 9 and 10 is unbelievable. Then we've got the Greninja, of course, from Twilight Masquerade. This was the biggest card, of course, to begin with. when it came out, but this one's fallen out of favor. $800 in a PSA 10. Pretty decent raw, but again, this one suffered from a lot of stock of Twilight Masquerade hitting the market over time as well. I think this will bounce back because people really, really like this Greninja, and I think it'll be a good one. But yeah, compared to like the Bubble Mew, this probably isn't even going to be a top 3 card, I don't think, compared to like some of the others, but we'll see. And then we got the Pikachu from Surging Sparks. I remember when this was $600 raw. That's definitely not the case anymore. But yeah, this one here, you're looking at $250, $260 raw, nearly 900 in a 10. So again, lower than quite a lot of the other cards we've seen. And it was at 1K at one point, and it did drop $300 in value in a PSA 10 and is now bounced up quite nicely. Yeah, this is again another big card, but I just don't see it. I really don't. I mean, the artwork's okay, but I think it's not going to hold it up against some of the others from what we looked at. And then current king is the Umbreon, of course, from Prismatic. This one is falling a lot. And I actually think the Bubble Mew will eventually, I think it will overtake. It's going to be a spicy take right there, but I think it will, right? Because the raw price of this obviously is still very, very high, but the amount of Prismatics being printed is unbelievable. And we're seeing here PSA 10 still sitting at 3K. It's an extremely difficult card to pull. It is so, so difficult. But the fact is that we're getting more Prismatic coming in. We are going to see more and more of this not only hit the market raw, but also hit the market in a PSA 10 and people grading them, cracking packs, and so on and so forth. And again, you look at the PSA price, dropped from 4K, currently still rolling high at 3K, which is still pretty good. Then the raw price, though, is tanked like an absolute boss, sitting at 1.4, 1.6K, and now it's dropped 50% in value already. I think it's going to drop even more. While Bubble Mew is going up to the moon, the Sunbreon or the Moonbreon is coming down. So it's going to be interesting to see where this one lies. I think it's going to be between this and the Bubble Mew duking out for the top card from the Scarlet Violet era. So there you have it, guys. Bubble Mew going absolutely crazy. And there's it's a big card. I love Paldean Fates. Fantastic set. It's nice to see something other than an EV or a Charizard do very well. And it's an iconic card. Very difficult to pull from Paldean Fates. Like I said, recently I went to London Card Show. Everybody was looking for it in raw, graded, whatever. And it was so hard to find. And people that did have it didn't want to sell it and so on and so forth. Honestly, it's a huge card. Huge, huge card. I only ever pulled it once on a live stream. Never pulled it myself. And I've opened up a ton of Paldean Fates for myself as well. But I actually think Paldean Fates could be the best Fate set we've ever had. Better than Hidden Fates. Which is kind of a weird one to say because I absolutely love Hidden Fates. I still think that Paldean Fates is going to do very, very well. Already is doing well, but I think it's going to do even better. But guys, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Do you think the Bubble Mew is going to be the biggest card of the Scarlet Violet era? Or do you think that crown's still going to be held by the Umbreon from Prismatic? I think it's going to be pretty close, but I think it'll be between those two. But that's it from me, guys, in today's video. If you want more Pokemon content, make sure to click the video on screen. And of course, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You guys are legends. And I'll see you in the next one.